What is going on, guys? STYX here with the Token Minorities, and I am back. I mean, it's been about a month and a half, almost 2 months since I played, and honestly, that was very sorely needed. I mean, I really had just kind of lost my passion for it, and then also a lot of personal stuff was happening as well, so I mean, really just that taking that month and a half off was needed just to really rekindle my love with the game. And actually over the break I found myself for the first time in a long time playing this game just for fun. Like, I was just logging in and playing it because I felt like it, which was something I had not done for like a good 4 or 5 months. Like, it just kind of become a chore. But I mean, I'm back to having fun with it again, and I'm back, and I'm so excited to be back. And to kick this off, I was like, you know what, I could just do another deck video, or I could try to do something special, and I decided to do something quote-unquote special, which is honestly gonna probably end up horribly, but we will see. And that is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and that is the one of challenge, basically where you're only allowed 1 copy of any given card. Now, I will say my exceptions to this are going to be my energy, just because, I mean, otherwise it would make this, I mean, this is already very, very, very difficult to pull off. But if I limited myself to only a single copy of each energy, then I would basically just have absolutely no chance. So it's the one of challenge with basically everything, well, not basically, with one of anything except for energy. Energy is the only thing I can have multiple of. So we're gonna see how this goes, and as you can tell, I'm using a real hodgepodge of a bunch of different stuff. Now, really, there's no rhyme or reason to this deck. It's a bunch of different stuff that I decided to throw in together, and that could maybe work as well as possible. I mean, there's no way that this deck is going to work wonderfully, but this deck could possibly have a chance to win some games, and that's going to be the goal. Now, I might as well just show you what energy. I'm actually starting off with the energy just so you can kind of get a feel for what I'm trying to base this deck around. So, for DCE, and that's really what I'm going to base this deck around. Bunch of different types of Pokemon that work with just DCE, and then also rainbow energy as well, so that for a single attachment, like the 1 energy attackers, I can go ahead and power those up. And then darkness energy, honestly, the only reason I'm doing darkness energy is because of Yveltal-EX, the shiny Yveltal-EX that I'm wanting to show off. And yeah, that's pretty much the whole reason behind it. And then everything else, just try to function off one type of energy or DCEs. Starting off with Drampa, because Drampa's an amazing colorless attacker, Oranguru, and really just like, I could go through each card individually and that would take forever, but like Oranguru, colorless, Yveltal, DCE and darkness energy, Zoroark, darkness, Buzzwole, a single fighting, like, all of these guys are just one-ofs, and of course I had to have a Lele in there. Shoutouts to Deadfun. I'm finally getting to use the hyper rare Lele that he did give me, so love you, man, and this is awesome. I've got Buzzwole, Jolteon, just a whole bunch of different stuff to try to get to work. And as for the items, like, this is just insane because you have to run so many different items. Like, I'm running freaking Random Receiver because we only get 1 of each supporter. And that makes it really, really difficult because with cards like Ultra Ball and Sycamore, you're discarding cards. So you have to be very, very, very careful with what you discard in this deck, because once you discard something that's not an energy, you're not getting it back. So really this whole deck is just centered around trying to use different cards with different strategies to get things to work, and I'm so excited to be back once again. Yeah, I mean, you guys can see the deck. This is going to be awful, but let's just go ahead and see what it can do. Alrighty, we have got one, and I'll be honest, like, I've just been getting absolutely murdered in these. I mean, oh boy, it's been really bad. In fact, it's been so bad that I'm not even going to put those matches in this, because, I mean, it's like I figured, it's incredibly difficult to just use 1 copy of a bunch of stuff and try to win a game. I mean, admittedly, you might think, okay, well, because you have 1 of everything, you'll always be able to hit for weakness, and while that's true, once you use that and your opponent knocks that thing out, you're kind of left with a bunch of stuff that has absolutely 0 synergy. So, starting off, like, my opponent has a Zorua. If I can get a Buzzwole out, I might be able to, okay, is it in my deck? And yes, it is. Okay, my Buzzwole is there, so I have a chance to get it. Unfortunately, I don't have my Rainbow Energy or anything like that, So what I'm going to do this first turn is just Skyla for a Bridget. I mean, I really just have to play this slow, attach a Darkness, that way I can Flying Flip next turn, and just unfortunately pass. I mean, it's what you got to do. Oh boy, this is... yeah, this might end just as badly, and then he gets a DCE and a Strong Energy. Okay, if I top deck a Rainbow and he doesn't get anything else out, then I will be able to just Bridget out the Buzzwole, knock out the Zorua, and win. So, unfortunately for me, my opponent does have an Ultra Ball, so I will not be able to just win next turn, which is kind of sad, but I mean, you know what, it does happen. Probably going to grab like another Zorua or something to that effect. I mean, then again, he might not be afraid of his Zorua going down because, I mean, he sees a Tapu Koko, and you just don't run Tapu Koko in a Buzzwole deck. Like, that's just not something you do. So, actually, my opponent grabs a Zoroark, so if I top deck a Rainbow Energy, I might just win. Yeah, he's going to go for a Ram, and if I top deck a Rainbow, I will win. Unfortunately, I do not, so what I'm going to do right here is Bridget, go ahead and grab Remoraid, sorry. Remoraid, Buzzwole, and Vulpix. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that because, I mean, I can always just, like, Evo Soda into an Octillery next turn, and now let's just go for a Flying Flip, hit the Zorua for a whopping 20 damage. Yes, he will be able to get into a Zoroark next turn, but hopefully he won't be able to fill up his bench completely and knock out my Tapu Koko, which would make me kind of sad, and I do... oh boy, okay, so he only needs... so he has the Bridget. Let's hope that he doesn't have another Pokemon in his hand, because if he does, he'll be able to knock out my Koko, which would not be good. That would be very, very, very bad. But either way, I mean, like, again, I'm not expecting this deck to do amazing. In fact, I'm expecting this deck to do the exact opposite. I'm expecting to get absolutely demolished while playing this deck. But I mean, that's not what the TCG is about. Like, what really got to me was the fact that I was really just focusing on, like, okay, I have to win. Like, I have to play hard, and I have to win, and I have to get winning games and whatnot. And no, that's not what the TCG is about. Like, ultimately, like, yeah, you want to win, and I'm a very competitive person, so I do want to win. But the TCG is about having fun, and unfortunately, I forgot that my Tapu Koko had 20 damage on it. So what I'm going to do right here is go into Buzzwole and pray. I get Manaphy, let's Evo Soda, get the Octillery, luckily, so I will be able to get more cards, and how do I want to play this? So I think I'm just going to Escape Rope into Vulpix, because ultimately Vulpix is going to be able to get me something, and my opponent's going to get... I mean, if anything, he just has to retreat. So basically, this just gets my Buzzwole out of the active spot and gives me 2 extra cards with the Abyssal Hand, which was ultimately what I was going for. Let's see if we get a better supporter. We do not. Let's go ahead and play the Drampa down. I think Drampa might be... yeah, let's do that, and then let's... do I want a Kukui? Yeah, let's go ahead and Kukui, see if we can get something good. Alright, so I get another supporter, and that's, again, one of the problems is you get a bunch of supporters aren't necessarily helpful. And then I am just going to go ahead and Beacon. Let's grab... unfortunately, my Lele is not in the deck. So let's grab Mew because it has free retreat, and then, I don't know, like Glaceon, because that thing can be a threat to my opponent as well. Actually, no. Let's grab Oranguru and Ninetales. This way I can evolve Vulpix, like, kind of force my opponent's hand in a sense, like... otherwise, he could just try to target down the Drampa, but this way, if he doesn't take out the Vulpix, then he is forced to, if he doesn't take out the Vulpix, he will be forced to deal with an Alolan Ninetales, which admittedly, I can't Ice Blade without sacrificing 2 Rainbow Energy, but my opponent doesn't necessarily know that. Actually, he might. He might see what I'm using, and he's like, okay, what the heck is my opponent doing? Which, to be fair, if I was facing a deck that had a bunch of 1-ofs, I would be reacting... pretty much, actually not pretty much the exact same. I would be reacting the exact same if that is how my opponent is viewing this. So, I mean, admittedly, while I'm playing a crazy deck, my opponent's playing a pretty crazy deck too. Because, I mean, you see things like, you see Mimikyu, Latios, you see the Keldeo, Sudowoodo is on the bench as well. So I mean, my opponent could be playing a pretty fun deck as well. So I mean, we're obviously not up against a super competitive deck, because once again you do see the Sudowoodo, and I think actually Sudowoodo doesn't inherently mean that it's not competitive, but I think Sudowoodo, if I remember correctly, was used best with Registeel, like a Registeel toolbox, and then yeah, we see the Malo with the Zoroark. If I can somehow pull that off, that would be really great, but unfortunately, just, you know, I don't have that, and I'm hoping he doesn't knock out the Vulpix so I can try to retreat out, and nope, he does make the smart play. He knows that I have the Ninetales in my hand, so he is just going to knock that thing out, and I can fortunately Righteous Edge, which I think I might just do with my Drampa. Like, this is not looking good for me. I'm just going to be honest. This is not looking good for me at all. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's Howl. See if I can get something that discards. And no, I don't. But I do get a Rainbow Energy, which I can... Let's go ahead and actually put the Vulpix into my hand. Yeah, because I do have the Ninetales in my hand, so I can at least evolve it next turn, have it as something that can take a hit, and then let's go ahead and Rainbow up the Buzzwole. I would not have been able to, you know, go for a Berserk plus get damage on something on the bench, so I would not have been able to knock out my opponent's Latios this turn, really, no matter what. And I'm actually going to get rid of the Rainbow Energy because all he needs is a DCE in order to hit me for 70 damage, and this way, like, I'm tempting him to just go for the 30 and 30, which helps power up my Drampa and whatnot, so I'm trying to tempt him right now into doing that, which I think he might end up doing. But fortunately, I do have both of my Drawmons on the bench, and unfortunately, my opponent's going to Guzma. That's really bad. Yeah, that's bad because now he's able to knock out my Manaphy. Oh boy. This is not good, and then I don't even have a good response. Like, I have Drampa, which is going to be able to hit him for, I mean, some very good damage. Like, I'll be able to hit him for 160, but that's not enough. Yeah, it's just not enough. So I'm in a bad spot, but I mean, again, what do you expect? Like, I'm playing a one-of deck, and against a very cool deck by my opponent. Like, I really think like a Zoroark toolbox deck is cool. I mean, that's basically the premise of my deck. It's just I can only use one of a bunch of stuff. And I get a Sycamore, so what I'm going to do is Rainbow up the Drampa, evolve the Vulpix into a Ninetales. And this is, okay, this is where it gets tricky, because if I Sycamore, that means I lose my Guzma and my Acerola for the rest of the game, which I don't want to do. I think at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and Berserk. Berserk for 160. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Alternatively, what I could have done is played the Rainbow onto the Buzzwole and then Righteous Edged away the DCE so my opponent couldn't attack next turn. But what I can also do with this is Guzma up my opponent's Zoroark on the bench and then switch into my Buzzwole to be, yeah, I'll be able to do that. Switch into my Buzzwole to be able to hit the active for 60 and the bench for 30 and the knockout, and then if I can draw my Choice Band, that would be even better for me. And then this also gets my Drampa out of harm's way, so that might be, yeah, that might be what I'm going to go for right now. I think that might be the best play, yeah, because he does just Righteous beating me for 150, and now I'm going to get my Drampa out of the way by bringing up... let's go ahead and play the Jolteon, actually, because that's... Do I want to power up Buzzwole or potentially have Jolteon? So Ninetales I'm not even going to bother powering up. Like, that thing's just going to be a GX attack later for a DCE. And then let's go ahead and do the play I was talking about. Bring up his Zoroark for my Jolteon. And I'm actually going into Jolteon instead of Buzzwole, because I mean Jolteon has free retreat, so this way it just gives me options as to what I want to do. And I do get a Super Rod. Is there anything I want to bring back? There's some energy, so I might as well just do that. Bring back the Koko and 2 energy. And while we are very much in the back, and if my opponent has a Guzma, I just straight up lose, I'm actually gonna take 2 prizes right here. Hit my opponent's Zoroark for 60 and snipe my opponent's Zoroark on the bench for 30. And there's my Zoroark and my Lele. Unfortunately, those are a little bit too late, and actually all my opponent needs to do is, if he has a Tool Scrapper, is get rid of the Fighting Fury Belt on my Drampa and then Latios for the win, or he could just bring up my Drampa and knock it out with Sudowoodo, who's going to hit me for an absolute crap ton of damage right now. I was going to watch and learn. Actually, not a crap ton, just he's going to Jet Punch, which unfortunately still will be the knockout. So we do lose that game to a very cool deck by my opponent, and that's unfortunate, but I mean, that's kind of what happens. We just didn't have what we needed when we needed in a one-of deck. I mean, that's the thing with one-of decks. You're technically prepared with 1 card for any type of deck your opponent brings, but at the same time, it's incredibly inconsistent. So we did lose that one, unfortunately, but I mean, hey, this live isn't about winning, it's about having fun, but that doesn't mean we're not going to try to win. So let's just go ahead and find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Ironclad Merc with, honestly, I have no idea what type of deck my opponent is running, and that's what makes this fun. So unfortunately, we do not get to go first, which, I mean, can be good, can be bad, depending on what I get. On the bright side, I start off with an Yveltal, which, I mean, is okay, but I mean, I don't start with anything else that's useful. I mean, Marshadow is not useful until later in the game, so really can't do much with that from the get-go. We see the Grimer, which is indicative of an Alolan Muck deck, so not a super competitive deck, but I mean, then again, I mean, look at what we're running, so I mean, this just means that it'll be a fun game. I'm gonna be looking for probably a Remoraid. Honestly, I'll probably be trying to get a Remoraid with my Pokemon Fan Club. Would like a Bridget in this spot, but probably like a Remoraid and a Zorua. That way I can get multiple options to draw cards. And unfortunately, my opponent does start with Bridget DCE, which is not good for me at all. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, and unfortunately, it looks like my Remoraid is prized. So that stinks. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and grab my Zorua and a Mew. Wait, no, it's not. Never mind. I'm dumb. But I just missed it. But I think in this case, because I have the Zoroark and I'm not going to be able to get the, get the Octillery out anytime soon, I'm just going to grab a Mew for the free retreat. That way I can play the escape rope and maybe like force my opponent into something that he doesn't necessarily want to have out there. I mean, I have the Zoroark in my hand for next turn, so let's just escape rope into the Mew and then call it a turn right there. I would have liked to Kukui, but I mean, that would have been 2 supporters in 1 turn, which, I mean, you know, is kind of something that you can't do. So at this point, I'm just kind of hoping that bringing up another Grimer, another Alolan Grimer that he doesn't have powered up, will buy me a turn, and unfortunately and fortunately for me, my opponent ends. I mean, if he hadn't end, then I would have been able to Zoroark, but now I get a fresh hand and hopefully a good draw supporter. And I actually draw right back into the Zoroark, which is pretty nice, not gonna lie. It whiffs the Max Elixir, which is very nice for me. Don't know how much it would have done, I mean, apart from maybe powering up the Oranguru. But what I think I am going to do... Oh, he shuts down abilities, which means Marshadow is pretty much useless. Marshadow will really not be able to do much at all, but what I can do is go ahead and drop the Drampa, play Zoroark down, because, I mean, my opponent only shuts down basic Pokemon abilities, and then go... I think I might just go into Zoroark, but let's trade, get rid of the Manaphy, see what I can get if it's anything good, and I do get something pretty solid. But what I'm going to do right here is go ahead and Guzma up the Grimer that has the energy and the Choice Band on it, and then I'm just righteous beating it for a knockout. So, not gonna lie, we're in a great spot right now. Like, we are in a really, really good spot because I have Zoroark out, my opponent has no Grimers available at all. Like, he evolved his only Grimer into an Alolan Muck, which is not an Alolan Muck that can attack, so even if he does get a Salazzle, it's really not going to do much for him at all. Because, I mean, yeah, it will be able to burn and poison me, but at the same time, like, you won't be able to capitalize on it with an Alolan Muck this turn because 1, doesn't have a Grimer, 2, doesn't have any energy on the board. So even though that was our only Guzma for the game, that was a very, I think, useful Guzma. And he unfortunately will be able to Righteous Edge me, get rid of my DCE, which stinks a little bit, but what I can do now, because I top deck that switch, which is actually perfect, play the Fighting Fury Belt and the Darkness onto the Drampa, and then switch right into it. And then let's trade, get rid of the Ultra Ball. I really don't think I'm going to need it all that much. See if I can get something good, and this works. I can put a Manaphy back, but I really don't want to. I am just going to Righteous Edge, and while it will not be able to get rid of the Darkness energy on him, what it will do is set him up to be knocked out by a Berserk next turn, which is what I'm going for because I do have damage on the Zoroark on the bench. I have the DCE in my hand. I, again, wanted to play the Darkness energy so that he cannot Righteous Edge away my energy, and I have him set up where I get the knockout, but, I mean, he can Righteous Edge me or he can Berserk me for 80, but it won't be enough, and then I will be able to hit him for the knockout next turn. Although he does Guzma. What's he bringing up? Probably, yeah, the Zoroark. I mean, that's a good play. If I can somehow get a Float Stone, that would be ideal, but he does just decide to Big Wheel GX. I'm assuming that's my opponent's way of trying to stall, which, I mean, hey, it works. Like, that's a smart play. First things first, let's go ahead and trade, get rid of Karen. I really don't think I need it in this matchup because, I mean, it's just Mew, and I actually top deck the Float Stone. That's incredible. That is honestly incredible. So what I am going to do is retreat into my Drampa, attach a DCE. I am not going for Sycamore just yet because I want to save that, and I also want to save my Rainbow Energies for Yveltal, and we're able to knock out the Drampa and take 2 prizes, so this is working out beautifully for us. I can even Brooklet Hill next turn in order to get my Remoraid, and I can Pokemon Center Lady in order to heal up damage or heal up the status conditions that my opponent might get on me by evolving into a Salazzle. So, I mean, the Pokemon Center Lady was actually a really, really great draw off of my prize cards. And unfortunately, it is going to get rid of my Float Stone and my Fighting Fury Belt, which means those are the only 2 that I'm going to have all game, which kind of stinks, but at the same time, I got the extra damage that I needed when I needed it, so I'm not overly worried. But what I am slightly worried about is this N that my opponent is playing, because he gets 6 cards and I only get 3, and fortunately I do have Zoroark as a way of drawing into it, of drawing extra cards, but there's the Salazzle, and yes, I know what Burn does. This is what happens when you don't play TCG for a while. It apparently forgets that you're a person. Wait, with the Choice Band, is he going to be able to knock me out? Yes, with the Choice Band, Poison, and Burn, he's going to be able to knock me out. Wow. So my opponent literally got everything he could need that turn, which is very, very unfortunate for us. I thought we were in a great position, but that one turn by my opponent just, poof, that screwed me over. That screwed me over big time. What I am going to do right here is Random Receiver. I need a draw support, and I get an N. Not the worst thing in the world, but not the best at all. Now, do I want to get greedy? Because if I can get a DCE and 2 Pokemon, I will be able to knock out this Oranguru. So what I'm going to do is play the Jolteon with no intent to actually, like, really play it, because, well, no intent to attack with it, because Zoroark, I mean, well, because it just has free retreat, and that's always something that's nice to have. And then I'm going to trade, see if I can get a DCE. Unfortunately, I do not, but I do get a Remoraid. And what I'm going to do right here... Do I want to just sack Mew? I think for now, I'm going to play the Rainbow onto my Yveltal. That way, no matter what energy I draw next turn, I will be able to... do I want to do that? Yes, I think that's what I want to do. And then let's Choice Band up the Yveltal as well. That way, if for some reason my opponent gets like a Zoroark or something out, he can, or not a Zoroark, an Alolan Muck out, I will be able to hit him harder. So I'm going to go into Jolteon. Yes, Psychic's going to be hitting me harder, but at the same time, he won't be able to take a prize off of my Mew. So I mean, this could backfire. This could very well backfire because he is going to be able to hit me for 90 damage, but I do have a Shauna in my hand. I should be able to draw into some form of energy. And right now, my opponent has a whole lot of nothing. Yes, he does have an Oranguru that's hitting me for a ton of damage, but at the same time, he also has a Guzma. He's bringing in my Zoroark, which, I mean, that's going to be hitting me for some solid damage. And I don't know why he played the Lele down, because he has his Muck in play. Maybe he just forgot that he had his Alolan Muck in play. But he is going to Psychic me for 90 damage, and really hoping that I can get... Okay, I really need a DCE. Like, yeah, that rainbow would be nice, but I need a DCE, and I don't get it. But what I can do right here is Field Blower, get rid of the Choice Band, and a Float Stone, I think. Which Float Stone do I want to get rid of? I'll get rid of the one on the Salazzle. Yeah, this way he at least won't be able to knock out my Zoroark. Let's Evo Soda. How many DCEs left? 1 DCE is left. So I'm kind of... I'm going all in on this. So let's first Abyssal Hand, because with Abyssal Hand in trade... crap. So let's trade, get rid of Magearna. Because worst case, I can keep Glaceon for later, and unfortunately, I do not get it. So let's just Rainbow up the Yveltal once again. And then I think pray that Zoroark lives a turn. I'm pretty sure that's my best move. Is just hope that Zoroark lives this turn, which, I mean, he should. Like, Oranguru's only doing 60, maybe 90 damage. I mean, he'd have to have a Kukui and a Choice Band in order to knock out my Zoroark at this point. And what I can do is Malo into Zoroark for that DCE, if I so choose. Does go for the Max Elixir. Does he hit it? You have to get it. No, he does not. So we're getting relatively lucky on the Max Elixirs that my opponent is not hitting them, but he does have a Sycamore as the last card in his hand, so that is unfortunate right there. But again, we're also getting lucky that my opponent does not have any like Alolan Muck that are in play. Well, I mean, he has the one that denies abilities, but that one I can deal with. It's the one that would be hitting for actually some solid damage that I couldn't deal with. And yes, he does just go for the Psychic right there onto my Zoroark, and I top deck a Darkness Energy. So what do I want to do? I could Sycamore and risk it. I think I'm just going to Sycamore and risk and pray. I mean, I could have gone for Malo, but luckily my gamble pays off. Like, that was honestly kind of a dumb play by me. That really was a dumb play by me. And I'm going to get rid of the Sea of Nothingness, even though it doesn't help me at this point. I just wanted to get rid of it so my opponent doesn't have anything. But I also wanted to... I figured that with a combination of Zoroark, as well as Octillery, as well as Sycamore, that I should be able to draw into that DCE. I mean, again, it was a reckless decision that luckily ended up paying off for me. I should have just Malo'd into trade, but I don't know. I was feeling lucky. I was feeling lucky for a change. And we do knock out the Oranguru, and we get the Buzzwole off the prizes. So right now, my Zoroark can go down, and actually, yeah, my Zoroark will go down to the Lele this turn. But with my Yveltal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that's 120, 150. I need a single energy on my Yveltal to be able to one-shot my opponent's Lele, and unfortunately he does get the N off of the random receiver. So, I mean, if I just had my hand, then I would have the win in hand if my opponent played any other supporter besides N. But unfortunately, he does have that, so I'm gonna have to rely on Octillery in order to draw into an energy, and like actually just Kukui would win me the game as well. Kukui or an energy would win me the game, so that's all I need to draw into. I get 2 cards, and then I will get a couple more with Octillery. Unfortunately, my trade will be gone because Zoroark is 100% going down this turn. But I even get a Lillie, which... yeah, Lillie should draw me up to 6, meaning I should get a Rainbow or a Darkness. And then Yveltal should be able to clean up the game. So he does Energy Drive, knocks me out. I mean, that's to be expected at this point. I am just going to go Mew because, I mean, once again, I have free retreat, so there's no reason not to. I get a Koko. I was going to play down the Celebi just to draw increase my odds of drawing what I needed. And then I'm going to Abyssal Hand first, because Lillie at worst will just get me a card if I don't get anything useful off the Abyssal Hand. But if I Lillied before I Abyssal Hand, then Lillie would just be kind of my end-all be-all. And I do have the Rainbow, but I'm kind of hoping for the DCE for the Overkill, which I unfortunately do not get. But I mean, again, I do have the win in hand because I have the energy, so let's just retreat Mew into Yveltal and knock out my opponent's Tapu Lele for the win. And we actually managed to pull off a victory with this one-of deck, which honestly I am super surprised that we were able to do that. But yeah, I'm going to call the live there. Thank you guys so much for watching. It is great to be back. I mean, I'm never going to play this deck again because it was awful. And as a little reward for you guys watching until the very end, I'm going to let you in on a little secret that is coming out on Thursday. I will be announcing that I am doing a giveaway, and if you guys are watching to the end of this, I will give you an extra chance to enter. I mean, no, I'm not going to reveal too much, but I mean, there may or may not be a full RN as one of the prizes. So if you want to get the secret extra entrance from this video, just comment in the comment section down below at how bad you think Jolt is at Pokemon, and then put your TCG in-game name in parentheses next to that. So yeah, do that if you want to enter, and thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and this is STYX signing out. Why not? See you guys.